Today we are covering one hell of a case. This is going to be one of 3 parts because there's so much information. I'll tell you guys, this is one of those cases that I am afraid to share. A lot of you guys tell me all the time, be careful. I don't know how to be careful. I don't know how to be careful with this information. I just gotta share. I feel like it's my duty. Virginia no longer has an NDA on her from beyond the grave. So I figured we're going to talk about everything she couldn't discuss in her book and some. Welcome to Freaked Out with your psychic medium host, Liz. That is me. Today, guys, we are going to be covering one of the most intimidating cases I've ever come across. And this is in relation to Virginia Giuffre. Yes, one of the women who were a longtime victim of Epstein. And we've covered Epstein a few times, but we've never gone into detail about the victims. So today we will be covering part 1 of Virginia Giuffre. We're going to start off on the family side. There's a lot of kept secrets in that family, a lot of things that Virginia didn't necessarily talk about and or didn't know herself. So we're going to be covering that aspect of things and how her father, Epstein, and Maxwell are all connected, because it goes way deep. Alrighty guys, I'm ready to get into it. I did want to mention that before I had actually started the book, I was planning on painting. I like painting while channeling, especially when I'm listening to like a podcast episode, a YouTube episode, an audiobook, whatever the case may be. It helps me calm my energy and focus and channel the spirit a lot more. I decided to do this one. Obviously, that was a picture of a horse. And basically, as I was doing it, Virginia talked about her love of horses. So for me, it was like very therapeutic, cool. I do plan to sell this painting at one point. If you guys are interested, let me know. But I am going to be putting it on my website at some point whenever I figure out how to do it. But it was really special. I really liked this. If you're looking for some like good energy, good juju in your house, this is a great painting. So yeah, let's get into it. Virginia Lois Giuffre was born August 1983. And that sits with me because she and I are quite literally the same age. We're like 5 months apart when it comes to the month we were born. But basically, I could have been somebody in her position. Any of us could have been. And she has gone through so much. I was so young when all of these things started to happen to her. I couldn't even imagine. Now, she grew up in a very chaotic, unstable household. She spent a lot of her time growing up in foster care, shelters, bouncing between Florida and California. By her teens, she was already surviving abuse and homelessness and instability. Now, at age 14 to 15, she ended up running away and ended up finding that living on the streets of Florida. And she found that living on the streets was just easier than living in her household with her family. She was then later recruited into Epstein's world through a connection with Mar-a-Lago, and that connection tied her to Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell herself. And her father had a connection to that as well. Now, her father actually worked as a maintenance and handyman at Mar-a-Lago and gave Epstein and Maxwell direct access to his daughter, because she ended up working there too. Now, as Virginia got older, she became publicly known as the whistleblower, and she ended up becoming an advocate for other victims of sex trafficking. And her story became one of the most well-known stories, and then she wrote her book, Nobody's Girl. which is what I finished listening to more recently. And I got to tell you, that was a tough one. That book was tough, but it needed to be heard. So I highly, highly, highly recommend taking a listen, because it'll be well worth it to know all the ins and outs, and even just to protect your own children, but even seeing signs of sexual abuse. If you don't know if your children are being abused and you're concerned about that, even reading this book might open your eyes a little bit to see some signs like, hey, my kid acts like this, and look into it. Because I really feel like this book is going to help a lot of people not only heal from abuse, but also out people for the abuse. Even if you're somebody who sees abuse going on now, maybe you should be that whistleblower. Virginia talks about the abuse with her father and how it started a certain way, but there are a lot of moments that she did not remember because she was a baby. But he had a fascination with touching her private parts as an infant. He would massage her down there, and she didn't know this part at all. And she wasn't the only baby that he did this to. She showed me that there were at least 7 to 10 other people previous to her, and like 5 or 6 after her, and has had very inappropriate relationships with women who also have had children. There's a lot there, and he is a pretty significant predator. If you were to go and look up his computer search history, it would be alarming and illegal. What bothers me is that this man decided to come out and publicly say that he did not abuse her. Her book is based on your abuse. If she didn't get abused by you, then who was it? Because something happened to her. It doesn't make sense. We all know that you are lying, and also now benefiting from her death wherever you can to get a paycheck. Truly disgusting human being, and you should be ashamed of yourself. They had mentioned in the book about Forrest being her father's friend, and them swapping out these children. Forrest sexually abusing her. I keep seeing him and Forrest sitting in a garage talking about young girls and how they prefer young girls. And I keep seeing them kind of transforming the conversation to kind of, pinpoint out each other's perversions essentially while they're sitting there drinking. And then I feel like the two of them talked about how they sexually abused their daughters. Now, of course, they didn't position it in a way to make it sound like they abused their daughters. What they would say, though, is say something like, hey, so my daughter, she just wanted this and wanted that. I can't help it. I'm going to give it to her. Like, just one creepy pedo from another. And I don't think Virginia remembered some of these points of blackout. Thankfully, she doesn't need to have all those memories in her mind, but she showed me after she passed away, there were other predators as well, including connected to Forrest and her father, that were not mentioned in the book. But there were many men who were involved and wanted a part of his daughter. Now, I also see an exchange of money, because Forrest's daughter didn't necessarily do what she was supposed to do with her father, but I am sensing that Virginia was like sent out and the father got paid for it. And I feel like there were many clients on his list as well. These little black books, that's what they had back then. They didn't have the cell phones to throw this information in, but little black books. And they'd call each other and share each other's children. And when you're in that kind of group, it is very easy for them to find each other. I also keep seeing that her father was doing some shady work. Of course he was. He had no issues molesting and sexually abusing his daughter, so why wouldn't he have other shady dealings? I see that he was involved in some transportation of goods, whether that be drug related things or gun related things. I'm not sure. It could be even a combination of both, but I am heavily seeing that he was doing a lot of those things as well. And how did he get involved in that? I feel like he had a lot of connections. He grew up with a lot of shady people. And I see that her dad just got involved in whatever money making scheme he could so that he can continue to keep spending money like it was water. When it comes to her mother, a lot of you guys have asked me, did her mom know? This is the part where it sinks for me, because I know somebody personally who went through sexual abuse, and the mother has said to them, I cannot hear it because it'll hurt my heart. You can't hear that your one child or that your husband did not hurt your child. Who is going to be there to stand up for your child? It doesn't matter if it hurts or not. You just deal with it. Those are your consequences for not saving your child from this situation. I get it. Some things are out of our control, but when we find out, we have to do everything in our power to not only listen to what our child needs, but also share these details with a police officer, with whomever. You don't just keep this shit in the family and just not deal with it and then blame the child for their behavior. In my visions, mom knew a lot about this situation. Like, I keep feeling like she walked in on him doing something to her daughter. And because Virginia was participating in this, she blames her daughter and shut the door, checked out, and had this jealous streak towards her kid. Did she look at it like, oh, my kid is mentally messed up because of this? No. She looked at it like, Virginia is the problem here. If she wasn't here, this wouldn't have happened. I feel like they put all those issues on her. She had so many mental health issues. She went to that school. She went to these places, the Dr. Phil energy, just nobody taking care of her. That's why this book is called Nobody's Girl, because nobody was there for her. Her mother should have absolutely been there for her. And I know she forgives her mother, but I don't. I feel like her mother should stand up now and take accountability. I do see from what Virginia shows me that the mom may have read some of the book, may not have read some of the book. There's something has happened there, that she has done a big significant change in who she was, but it still doesn't take away the fact that she did not play her part at that time. And years later, only took her right at the end of Virginia's life to actually take accountability for it. It mind blows me. Now let's talk about her dad. Why did her dad really bring her to Mar-a-Lago at such a young age? I know Virginia needed money. I know she wanted a job. I know she wanted to do something. And of course, this is this elegant place. So of course your child's going to want to work there. But I see something scarier. Now, as we spoke before, he was a handyman at Mar-a-Lago, but he was also a runner. I feel like he did a lot of underground shady things for these families, including Epstein, including Trump, and a few other rich and hoity-toity people. They would say, I need a person, and then they'd call him up and he'd run. Because he was so available to them, they give him a lot of opportunities. But I am also seeing that he would gloat about his family, his daughter specifically. He had and still has an obsession with Virginia. And maybe not adult Virginia so much, but more so the younger version of Virginia. And I can see that he flaunted her and would want the reaction of people thinking she was so gorgeous. And he knew that he was in a group full of perverts. He was involved and knew what Epstein was capable of. and of course kept quiet because he was getting paid, but he was aware. And I see him significantly spending enough time talking about her, showing photos of her to whomever he could that he had in his wallet. Only Virginia, and I think the youngest child as well. There was a deal struck. You bring her to work here and we'll take care of the rest. I see that he was paid at least $10,000 to bring her to them, knowing full well that this man was going to do really terrible things to his daughter. He didn't know the extent of like the massage side of things, but what I can see, the massage side of things in that particular Mar-a-Lago place was there for a reason. And maybe not every masseuse did anything, but there were special requests, if you know what I mean. Once Maxwell saw her, because although Virginia and her met at a different point, I see that Maxwell and Epstein had gotten a look at her in person before they even promoted her, brought her on. And then that is when it was all set up. Virginia was talking about being a masseuse and this and that. And he knew, her father knew exactly what she was going to be involved in here soon. And he encouraged her to continue to keep following her dreams. And so she decided to. This Maxwell thing and her finding each other, that was set up to the highest degree. And he knew. And he got paid. Every time he would bring her to their home, he would get paid. Now, he would get jealous because he wanted that relationship with his daughter. He wanted what relationship she had with Epstein to be him. So he would get very jealous on how the two of them would get to keep her. But he kept getting paid, so he kept his mouth shut. Was her father aware of Epstein's reputation? Yes, he was. He's been in that home. He was in that home before Virginia was. A different type of shady dealing, but was in there, saw the naked pictures, saw naked girls running around, was aware, but could not participate because, he didn't have that kind of chingle. Epstein only gave out his girls to people who would pay big time. And he got nice chunks of change. And the father would get maybe like $500, $600 at a time if he brought Virginia. But he didn't get to be involved in the activities. And I think he really wanted to. Gross. And the father also, I feel like he had sex with Maxwell. I feel like she was supposed to entice him. I think Maxwell was sent to entice a lot of men. And I feel like the father was one. I think that's the only sexual experience he had was with Maxwell. And I don't think he even needed that. I think he would have handed his daughter over for $10, to be honest. Now, what were these jobs that he did off the books for Epstein and Epstein's circle? I feel like he transported some women. I feel like he did something with the planes. I don't know exactly. And then I see that he would get drugs and guns and also even retrieve blackmail. I feel like he was utilized quite a bit. And his family didn't know about it. Trump was very sprinkled in this book in a way to protect herself, I'd say. There were some connections to him as well, but there's a lot of reasons that she did not share the Trump stuff. And from what I see, there is a very inappropriate video of Virginia that Epstein has, but it's on like another island, not even his Epstein island. I am seeing another island, more Mediterranean, where all of these items were shipped. When Epstein got caught, he was basically given a heads up. So he was able to move a lot of stuff, but he was given a heads up years in advance. He's had the time to move everything over to this island that has yet to be discovered and or not even connected to his name. And I believe on this particular island, there is a video of Virginia very young Virginia and Trump. And I feel like that is the piece that he is most afraid of coming out. And I also believe that although Virginia has no problems with sharing all of these details, there is something he might have had on her blackmail wise that he was going to put out there into the world. I don't see what it is yet. I've been working with her to figure it out. It's one of those things where she doesn't necessarily want it out there, but let's just say that there was a big significant piece to blackmail, and that's why she kept that door closed. And not to mention, on top of all of that, that particular group was trying to kill her, following her, stalking her. Even paparazzi that would come to her house weren't always paparazzi. They may have been dressed up that way, but more so cover for their real identity. And I feel like there were many instances where her life was in danger, including right up to the point of her death. It's insanity. What drives me crazy about the father as well is not only did he not take accountability of what he did to her, because he absolutely did something to her, he also is financially benefiting. Now, although I agree there is something very shady and shifty about her death, I don't think he has the answers. I feel like he is contacting all of these people or getting paid for his version of what happened, making money off of his daughter's name. There is no genuine care, at least from my perspective and my views, that he gives two shits about if she actually did or didn't do it, because I see that he was extremely angry with her when this happened. So shame on you for continuing to make money off of your daughter's story. Now, did her father witness anything surrounding recruiting girls from Maxwell and Epstein? Yeah, he did. Virginia, when I talked to her, she's not shocked by any of the things her father has done, but it only proved to her why she could not keep her children around him. She also shows me that her life could have gone a very different way. She looks at her daughter, Ellie, every single day and goes, thank God he didn't hurt her. Thank God. Did her father ever confront Epstein or Maxwell? No, never, not once. Maybe would go, hey, you're still got my daughter in your possession, and then Epstein would throw a couple $100 his way. He also was the one who shared information with Epstein about his other children to scare Virginia into staying. Basically, he was the one who said to Epstein about the details about her brother and scared her, thinking something was going to happen to her family forever. She was worried about her brothers getting hurt. Did people in Virginia's life ever notice the signs that she was going through abuse? Yeah. I feel like there were many people in her life that noticed and just ignored the signs, including her own grandmother. And you know what's so sad? Virginia's loyalty to Epstein came because she was so vulnerable. She just wanted something, which is also another reason why I think she really hung on to Robbie. Because Robbie wasn't sexually abusing her and because he showed her love, I feel like she just dismissed the abuse. I really see that that is a big piece of that. Robbie was, I'd say, extremely abusive from the get-go. Now, did he abuse her heavily? No, but I see he was very controlling. He was looking for a girl he can control, and because he was what she would call his family, she really just wanted so hard for it to work out, to be loved by somebody, that she just held on to this abuse. It's really sad. She stayed loyal because of what she went through. They were together a long time. Now let's talk about Maxwell here, Miss Ghislaine Maxwell, a bit. We're going to talk about her a little bit heavier in the next part, but I do want to mention, when I take a look at her, she was kind of like the OG Virginia. She also came from power and abuse within her circle as well as a child, led into this life because of that. And then, of course, meeting Epstein, She went along with everything and became his right-hand girl. Now, Virginia was well on her way of replacing Maxwell, and she could not have that. So she would do things to kind of destroy their relationship, essentially. Talk shit about Epstein to her, talk shit about Virginia to Epstein, make him paranoid, cause a lot of problems. She put Virginia in the way of that governor. What I can see is that governor had SA'd so many girls, including Maxwell. And Maxwell was like, "You've never given her to him." And I think Epstein was trying to keep her clear of the significant damage because there were many women that walked away because of that situation. And she forced it. She was the one who forced the governor. And I also believe it was the one from Israel. I'm not going to name him here, but you can easily look it up. Anyways, I feel like she made sure that that happened to Virginia. And she was like, that's going to break her. That's going to send her away. And he was like, it's not going to send her away. And she still stuck by, but begged for this guy never to do it again. I believe that there are packages that he gives them. So he records everything, Epstein. And from what I can see, you want to basically do anything to the person you're assaulting, you take this more expensive package, and that's exactly what they set her up for. And this poor girl and many others. And I believe that this governor had actually killed a few girls, and I also believe their body parts are on that island in the Mediterranean that have yet to be discovered. This case goes so crazy, so wild. But anyways, guys, I think we're gonna wrap it up here now. There's so much to cover. We're going to cover what happened to her, who done it, who was involved, the accident, all of that in the next episode. So until next time, guys, stay freaked out.